following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
14:20 in the morning, 14 minutes and 20 seconds worth of sports talk to get you through your daily commute. Hot takes, recaps, best bets, and a little humor to get your day going in the right direction. Sit back, grab your coffee, and let's get into it. All right, 14:20 in the morning for this 22nd day of November 2023. Today's show, as always, is brought to you by SeatGeek.com, the SeatGeek app. Use promo code 1420POD at SeatGeek.com today and save yourself $20 on your first purchase over there at SeatGeek. And remember, we are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Go to BellyUpSports.com for all the great articles and other great podcasts, such as the Corner Booth podcast and Rise to the Occasion and there's the Crop Root Sports. There's just so many of them out there over at Morgan Man Sports. Talks about the Atlanta Falcons a lot, so make sure you check all that out over at bellyupsports.com. And thank you from all of us here at 1420 World Headquarters for checking out the 1420sportsbar.com and all the podcasts and YouTube videos that we do here on a daily basis. Anyways, before we get to the last call that Dave and I recorded on Monday night talking about the Grey Cup, which was quite a great football game. We discussed it on the podcast the other night, but I'm going to play that for you here in a second. I just want to touch on old Tommy boy Tom Brady and the pot that he stirred with his comments about the mediocrity. I talked about it on yesterday's show at length about what I think about the National Football League and sports in general, how it's changed the landscape has changed quite considerably with how it's played and how kids are brought up and the competitive how it's how the competition is throughout the league and everything else. You just wonder how it's all going to play out with Tom Brady and everything else in the very near future. But you have a league right now that's in, I wouldn't say in peril because they print money, but you're having a lot of people who don't watch the National Football League anymore to watch for the game. They watch a lot now for their fantasy teams for betting purposes only, and it's one of those things that you only that you see in football because that's just the way it is. Good morning to you, Mr. McCarthy, too. How you doing, sir? Good to see you this early in the morning. And the Grey Cup was a fantastic game to watch. It was a lot of fun. That last drive was remarkable. You don't see that a lot in the National Football League with the way the rule is. And then even the drop punt kick at the end of the game, going the other way to try to turn the ball over. So no, it was a fun game to watch there. Ryan, we'll have to hook up very soon to do a show together. There's no doubt about that. It's interesting to see how the NFL is going to turn out. The demographics of people who were talking about what Brady said a couple of nights ago were quite blatant. But a lot of people are saying that they don't watch that many games anymore. The NFL, to me, it's kind of oversaturated itself. The Monday game, the Thursday game. Now they're going to be playing Black Friday, and then they'll be moving on Saturdays, and there's Sundays, and then it's always on TV, and it's always on, and it's popular because it's popular. And there's no I don't think you can argue with that. Like if something's in your ears all the time, and something becomes part of your vernacular, you're going to listen to it a lot more, and you have to watch the whole thing. And it just seems to be on and on. It goes with the National Football League. And then when you have a product that isn't great, you're going to have people that are, you know what, I don't need to watch this anymore. I'm going to turn this off. And you're having a lot of people talk about that with what Brady had to say, and it opened a lot of eyeballs to what the NFL actually is and what it's become lately. You look throughout the league, it doesn't have a lot of great quarterbacks. We touched on it yesterday in 14:20 in the morning a little bit, but you got a lot of quarterbacks who shouldn't be in the league, and it's just the way things are, and it's just the way things go, and it's just you get injuries, and they're talking about expansion and how you're going to have more quarterbacks. I don't know, because you don't have enough quarterbacks right now for 32 teams, even without the injuries, I guess. So the NFL has built this monster on their own, and it's become popular a lot because it's become popular, like I just said. It's just funny to like it just took a superstar, like a megastar like Brady, to open people's eyes and say to say what it actually is. And what it is, it's actually a mediocre product. And you have people who were lifetime football fans. They don't watch as many games as they used to. They might catch their favorite team and that's it, but will they watch from start to finish and everything? And who knows? Because it doesn't happen very often. Like I got people put it in their ears. And then the other part you have with the National Football League is all the streaming services you got to have, because Thursdays are on Prime, and then this one's on that, and then this. So it's a lot of trouble to find a football game that you want to watch, and then the product turns out to be bad, and then that's it. Like some people are talking about, they like the defensive side of the game, and that defense is gone because the way the rules are, and the rules are made to protect the quarterbacks, and rules are made to protect receivers who are getting lit right up all the time and getting injured. So the rules are there for a reason, and nobody can fault anybody on that, because people were getting injured in the CTE, as we've discussed here at length on 1420 World Headquarters. That it's hockey's the same way, and guys had to be protected. But the product is watered down, and then they're putting a watered down product with more exposure, and it just becomes one of those things. You're like, you know what, I don't need to go. It's like going for less chicken wings, and they raise the price. You're not going to go anymore. It's just one of those things. You might still like chicken wings, but they raise the price, and it's kind of not as good. You're going, you know what, I'm not going to go anymore. And that's kind of the way you are with the National Football League. And like I said, it opened a lot of eyes with Tom Brady and how it all turned out, and how he opened, like he opened up a can of worms. And the older players, they kind of said, like, I don't know if the players should be commenting it on. Like Shannon Sharp made some comments yesterday, and I don't know if the older players should be commenting as much on the state of the league and the state of the union, because they played in a different era and where rules were different. So it's not the players playing today. It's not their fault specifically. It's not their fault 100% with the way the game is played. The athletes are more tuned, more conditioned, everything else, but there's a different set of rules. So Shannon Sharp and Tom Brady shouldn't really be saying, well, our league was better, or our league was this, because your league was different. And that's the biggest thing. You can't say how you would have been playing with today's rules, and so you shouldn't comment on it. And it's one of those things. The athletes today are just different. They're not better, they're not worse, they're just different. And the athletes of yesteryear are a lot different. You know, some of them smoke and drank like it was their job, right? So it's one of those things. You talk about the National Hockey League, like guys used to go to a training camp to get into shape. Now you have guys who you got to be in shape all year long, and they have to play all year long, and their conditioning has to be at a certain level, because they want to keep their jobs and keep contracts. And I wrote an article for the 1420 Sports Bar yesterday, kind of talking about all that stuff, because it's the old man get off my lawn thing, right? It's one of those situations. And Brady opened up that can yesterday. It was good for a lot of fodder and everything else, and it's just quite interesting to see how it all turned out and how people are reacting to it. Like I watched Craft Brewed Sports last night, and Caesar, he says, like, he's a younger guy, obviously, and he was talking about, like, he doesn't watch that many games anymore. He's more of a college guy. He'll watch his Cowboys, but that's it. But then he'll make sure he gets the lines and who's playing, and it's all about his whoever his betting source is, right? So it's funny how the NFL is really, it's the biggest sport in the world for all the other stuff, but it's not the biggest spectator sport anymore by any means. I don't think in North America. I think college football gets a lot more eyeballs on it than the NFL does. The NFL gets a lot more exposure because the NFL pushes it on you, right? So it's there, so you have to watch it. You just feel obligated to watch it. Like I remember I used to watch such like the NFL Sunday all the time. Now I rarely turn it on. Rarely turn that on. I still watch, but on Saturdays I will watch Game Day every time. And now it's just the oversaturation of the NFL plus the watered down thing on the watered down product on the field has kind of turned me away from watching football a lot. And it's more about the betting lines, and like even they do it, like they have the old guys doing it on TV there. They talking about the betting lines, and you know that they aren't betting, they don't care, but they're just paid to do it. So they do it, right? So like I said, it was interesting to watch the Brady situation and the different demographics, how they were talking about Brady's comments and then Shannon Sharp's comments and everything else. Which it's funny to, you know, like I have my thoughts about the NFL, that it's popular because it's popular, and you start hearing other people my vintage and maybe a little bit older talking the same way, and then you wonder if it's how it's all going to turn out, because people watch the NFL, but it's not as much. Yes, the stadiums are full, but it's one of those situations where it's a family tradition, right? Like in Green Bay, you go to the game, and then but you just go because you're supposed to go, like the tailgating and everything else. So it's interesting to see that, like the how it's all going to pan out this coming weekend. weekend. And I'm sure it'll be down for our friends down in the United States. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way. If you're traveling this weekend, make sure you travel safe. But it's interesting to see how it's all going to pan out and what the conversations around the Thanksgiving dinner table are going to be come Thursday afternoon, Thursday night when it's all coming down. It'll be actually interesting to see tomorrow what they're talking about on NFL Game Day and NFL Today and NFL this and NFL that. What they think of Tom Brady's comments, or will they even talk about it and bring it up? So you don't want the negativity coming and taking over what's supposed to be a positive, fun day. But anyways, here's Dave and I from I think it was Monday night. We recorded our final talk. No, Ryan, I did not see the speech. I saw the Cole's Notes version of a little bit. I saw you put some stuff up on the Twitter machine of the speech that he gave before the Grey Cup and everything else. And it was such a, like, those guys play for such little money. And that's one thing that I think Dave and I touched on last call here. They're going to play for you guys in a second. Those guys play for such little money, and they're playing for pride and they're playing for the love of the game and maybe one last shot of getting the NFL and getting that big paycheck. But most of them know they're playing out their childhood dreams on a field in a big game for probably the last time. Probably the biggest game for a lot of these guys that they'll ever play. A lot of these guys played different division college. They weren't highly recruited, so they went and played in the CFL. They didn't get in practice squads or anything else. They don't make a lot of money by any means, but they love the game. They go out and play in front of not very big crowds sometimes in the CFL. So it's fun to see that sometimes guys do play these sports for the right reasons, and they're not getting rich. They're just doing it to just stave off the last of having to get a real job and go out the real world. So the CFL is near and dear to my heart, and the Grey Cup game is always a great show, no matter what. It's our show up here in Canada. Everybody pokes fun at the CFL, but when it comes down to it, they put on a great product, and we can hold it as our own. And sometimes they get a lot of laugh and a lot of like, what the heck is this, and why is that field so big, and the ball's big and the rules are different. But at the end of the day, it's our show up here in Canada. We watch it a lot. The people say they don't. They're lying to you. Everybody watches the Grey Cup. They might only catch a little bit of it, but everybody tunes in at some point. So here's Dave and I's conversation from the other night, last call at the 1420 Sports Bar, talking about what was the Grey Cup. Last call, the 1420 Sports Bar podcast, for Beer Sports talking a whole lot more. We're going to have one more tonight before we call our night here at last call on this 20th day of November 2023. Dave, the Grey Cup was yesterday. It's a Canadian tradition, and I'm not the biggest Canadian Football League fan, but every year in, year out, I watch the Grey Cup. I've been doing it for since I was a kid. It's one of those things you do, whether you go to a house party, which don't happen very often anymore, whether you go to a bar, whether you sit at home and watch the game. The Grey Cup is a Canadian tradition, almost like no other. I know, and you as well. You're not a Canadian Football League fan, but what's your thoughts? Let's not get into the game right now, but what's your thoughts on the Grey Cup?
It is a Canadian tradition in my mind. It's very nostalgic. My dad and all his friends back in the day were CFL fans. I didn't watch. My dad wasn't watching any NFL. We were a bit of a religious family, so the little bit of NFL I could watch didn't even start till I was 12, 13 years old. So CFL Saturdays, that kind of shit. Edmonton Eskimos fans is what we were. They were called the Elks they were called the Eskimos then. They're called the Elks now. But even though the Grey Cup is
5 in a row.
5 in a row. Then even after Warren Moon was done, Damon Allen, Ricky Ray, Tracy Ham, quarterbacks names that are American fans, I don't even know if they've known. Anthony Calvillo was a quarterback for Montreal forever, but then we had Doug Flutie, not Edmonton, but the Canadian Football League. I digress. The Grey Cup was a big deal back in the day, and even my father-in-law, he's a Winnipeg Blue Bomber fan, who was had the best record in the league and was in the big game yesterday. I even gave him a little pep talk yesterday, told him, well, the Leafs and Dodgers aren't doing it for you lately, Dennis, so I'm glad the Blue Bombers can do it. And literally, I jinxed him. I phoned him this morning and said, sorry about the jinx, Den.
Yeah, it's funny. We went back to Homeland yesterday to watch to hang out with Mom and just have a conversation. We couldn't stay and watch the game with her, but she she got a little bit verklempt, I guess, a little bit thinking about all the Grey Cups she watched with Dad, and it's such a Canadian tradition. Like, and you just remember, like, even like when we were gallivanting around the Sea of Leopards back 20, 30 years ago, we'd find a Grey Cup party no matter where it was. Like, we didn't care about the game, but there was always a Grey Cup party to be had, and it hasn't changed a lot over the years. And I still think it's fantastic. I really do. That you have a small group of people who like care about the game, but you have a large group of people who make
care about the tradition of the game,
who care about the making the game an event, right? And like chicken wings and nachos and beers and everything else. It's such a Canadian tradition. The CFL, it never fails to disappoint when it comes down to the game itself with the Grey Cup, because over the years, I mean, you'll I hope you agree with me on this one. There's been a lot of Grey Cups, and more, not Grey Cups, sorry, Super Bowls 20, 30 years ago. They were absolute duds, blowouts and everything else, and the halftime show stinks. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying for 1 second that the Grey Cup shows are always great. So I remember being at a couple of them. I was like, oh, this is quite bad. But the game itself is always quite good, and sometimes quite excellent. And yesterday was no exception.
No, it was a very entertaining game to watch. I was tweeting a little bit there. I was hoping our friends could tune in. I believe it was on Hulu and ESPN Ocho Cinco. I don't fucking know. I made up that last one, but it was available in the States. And once you get over the absolute size of the field and how small the players look on this field, it was a hell of an entertaining game. A lot of hard hits, a lot of good catches, athletic plays. These guys are still athletes. It was fun to watch. It was really fun to watch. And I found that did you notice how hard hitting that third, fourth quarter were?
Oh yeah, man.
There was some massive hits in there and clean. But how these hits are able to happen on a CFL field as opposed to NFL field is because the field is so big.
They can take a couple extra steps, right? And they get into it a little bit more. And it was great. Like the play, and for American listeners who don't know, I hope you would. If you're a football fan, you probably figure it out. But the way that the 3-down game is, and you have to get something done right now. 1 down run, 2nd down, you got to throw the ball, and then you punt. Like it even when the game was close at the end there last night, like it was never over, and it was never over until the fat lady sung, and that's the way it turned out. No, it's right. It's so great with it. Like I'm not gonna pretend that the CFL doesn't have a lot of duds, because it does. But when the games are close and they're moving the ball back and forth, and the punting game and everything goes, the CFL is a very, very entertaining game.
And, some football purists have said the CFL is actually a better game played with lesser athletes. The NFL would never in a zillion years adopt that field, because they would be losing $1 million a game in seat revenue. Like, for those who don't know, like,
that's a very good point.
Right, the end zone in the NFL, in the CFL is 25 yards, and from goal line to goal line is 110 yards. It's a massive, and probably a full third wider. It's a fucking Walmart parking lot. It is fucking huge.
Yeah,
So, but nonetheless, it was fun. Yeah.
Like when I watched the third quarter or second quarter story over at Browns across the street there, and shout out to Browns West Side, the younger he said server, he said I just can't. His mom was one of the fucking. His mom was working. He's from Hamilton originally. His mom was working there. I said, well, what's wrong? Like, what's wrong, Ryan? What is wrong with this? I just can't. So the CFL has a problem there, that they lost a generation of football fans, because the mega marketing that the NFL is in comparison. Because there was a point in my life, and I remember, like, and you talked about the NFL being king, about the NFL being a a better product. I remember this years ago, friend of the show, Dave Kraz, and this was back in 1994, 1995. He said if the CFL is a better product, but they don't have the athletes that the NFL has. If you put the CFL or the NFL athletes into the CFL product, you would have the best football ever. Like it would be unbelievable.
There would still be big hitting because there's so much ground to cover.
And you have to move the ball. Move the ball.
You know, and I've said that a long time about NFL, like how can we address these concussion issues? Even if you made that field 10 yards wider, because you're putting all these fucking bullets into a chamber, then they're going to hit really hard sooner or later, right? But you're just simply increasing the surface area of the field. You're gonna have better running games, better passing games, and you're gonna have more open field hitting because these guys aren't jammed shoulder to shoulder anymore.
Yeah, if you put the CFL game with the NFL athletes, I think you have a perfect game. I really do. Like
it would be so fun to watch.
Because there's I mean, I talk a little more than you do. Like you're more of a NFL apologist than I am, because I find like a lot of games are done by whatever time in the fourth quarter. Like, oh well, they're taking knees and doing whatever. But yes, like at the end of the game last night, because there's some quirky rules that never really come to effect, but they try them once in a while. Like if you kick the ball with 3 downs, you can recover it. You can actually kick the ball whenever you want in the CFL, and they never turn though. But like it would be funny to watch how the players, when they first come up from the States and play with the different rules that CFL have, like what the fuck is going on here with the bigger balls, the bigger field? Like, okay, what's going on here? Like,
and no fair catch, but you have to give the guy 5 yards.
5 yards. Yeah.
But the guy that kicked the punter is allowed to recover the ball.
Good old Canada.
Like that. That's one of the quirky rules. Like just fucking study the fucking rule book, do a little bit of studying, and then you might succeed in this game.
No, I love it. Green Day was great.
Green Day kicked a bit of ass. That was better than the last 3 Super Bowl shows.
100%. Like Rihanna was bullshit last year. She was absolute horseshit. Green Day was absolutely fantastic and everything else. And
they rocked.
The Grey Cup and the CFL, it's a touch of Canadiana, and we don't give it enough credit throughout our country. And guys our age should probably give it a little bit more, because it's a dying breed that it lost a generation. There was a lot of stuff going on, but no, the CFL. Like I'm not gonna say next July 12th I'm gonna watch the Stampeders and the Lions play, but I need to make a conscious decision to watch more CFL games, because you know what? It's pretty good.
It's pretty good, and I think in the same way. That's the only CFL I watched maybe 20 minutes all year, and I watched the majority of the game on Sunday. I can't watch much more than I watched for the regular season games. I just simply can't. But I will be sad when it goes.
Why is that?
So I don't know, because it's on a Thursday night. It's Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Right?
I've said it before. I've said it before, Dave. And I mention it to Deanne all the time. I said that's the problem the CFL has. I don't know when it's on.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and holiday Mondays.
And they get rid of this one and they play that one, and there's 2 games one day, and there's no set schedule, and that's my problem with CFL. I don't know when it's on.
But how hard would that be? Yeah, same. Like how hard would it be? You know when every fucking Yankee game is, right?
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
And the season is so fucking long too. Don't they play like 20 games? They start
18.
They start in June.
Yeah.
And then they play all summer. And then those poor bastards from the South that have to play in cold weather games.
And that's the biggest thing. Like when you play in the summer, and I get it, you can't play.
You got shit to do.
You're doing stuff, right? So summertime, you get lost in it. Like on a Friday night, I'm not turning into a football game. Like I'm watching a baseball game, and I'm working a baseball game, or I'm doing different things, or I'm out in the backyard, or I'm out pruning fucking trees. So that's one thing that the CFL has to figure out. But it's an entertaining game, and it's not bad. It's not bad athleticism. It's not. I think it gets a bad rep that way with a lot of people, and a lot of NFL raw guys are like, yeah, it's shitty. It's not shitty. It's just different. And
it's not shitty. It's different. And the best athletes are playing in the NFL because of the money. Like that's as simple as that.
Yeah. But I would like to see like we talked in actually the 1420 Sports Bar podcast tonight before we got to the last call here that it's interesting. Like you wonder what that league would be like if they got a few more guys that got filtered in a little bit, if there was some kind of partnership with the CFL, because these guys are playing just they're playing for not a legacy, but just trying to maybe get a chance.
Yeah, and it beats finding a real job, right? And it's there's a lot of, when I say a lot, I would say probably between 20 and 30 players in the NFL that have had the cup of coffee in the CFL, made their mark, or they fell through the cracks, and then they played 2-3 years, and then they get a look, and that's all you can ever ask, because it's a throwing league. There's so many receivers. There's like 4 receivers on every single fucking pattern. Running backs never make the jump. Receivers do. Defensive players do. Linemen on both sides do, and the odd quarterback. Well, I guess there hasn't been a quarterback since.
Not for a number of years, yeah, but it's one of those things. But Doug, like I said, we said earlier, Doug Flutie was. There's no Flutie flakes without the
CFL. No chance.
Right?
It was, because otherwise he would have been
done
pushing a pen for someone in Boston, right?
Done.
Like,
Doug Flutie isn't on ESPN without CFL.
He's on ESPN
in college, yeah.
Well, I've never liked Doug Flutie.
I like Doug Flutie.
I think he's a bit of a dick. Short man syndrome, right? He has to prove how tough and smart he is all the time. He was a hell of a CFL quarterback. I'll say that.
He had a good run in second time around the NFL.
Define good.
Playoff games, and
not as a starter. He was never a starter.
Yes, he was in Buffalo.
No, that's what he said. That's when people got hurt.
He started like 8 or 9 games for the Buffalo Bills in 95 or 96. And then what happened was they were paying Rob Johnson a lot of money, and so they had to play Johnson in the last game of the season, and then play Johnson in the playoff game, and that was the game that the throwback. What was that in the Music City Miracle? Rob Johnson started that game, and Rob Johnson lost that game because they were paying him millions of bucks a year, and the owner said Johnson starting this game and not Flutie because they're paying Flutie $850,000 or whatever it was. That's the actual facts.
So Rob Johnson did lose that game. The Music City Miracle won that game. So Rob Johnson put his team in a place to win.
Flutie would have won that game, not been in a situation where he went to overtime.
Flutie was he can fuck off. I'm not a Flutie fan.
Really?
No, not at all. And maybe that's because he played for the Stampeders here in Calgary for so long. But I find him to be a bit of an American, a bit of an arrogant Napoleon complex kind of guy. 5 foot fuck all.
Well, it happens. Anyways, that's last call for the 1420 Sports Bar podcast. 4 Bigger Sports talking a whole lot more. Make sure you tip your server at last call. Dave, what do you got going on?
Well, congratulations to the Alouettes, the eventual winners. Scored their game-winning touchdown with, I want to say, 12 seconds left on the clock in the game. Excellent clock management. Sorry, Dennis.
Actually.
Sorry, Dennis. That's my father-in-law. He's been a Blue Bomber fan for literally the 81 years of his life. So he was a little heartbroken. But what do you do? But there's always next year. and we'll see what happens. They played 110 of these fucking games. They're going to go to 1-1-1.
There you go. 1420 last call. 1400 Sports Bar last call. Make sure you tip your server. Have yourself a pleasant good evening.
Give Santa and his elves a break from the grind this Christmas season and ask for tickets from SeatGeek. SeatGeek has tickets for shows, concerts, and sporting events for around the globe. And by using promo code 1420POD, you'll save $20 on tickets. Tickets make for great stocking stuffers and gifts, so go to SeatGeek.com or the SeatGeek app for all of your ticket needs this holiday season and use promo code 1420POD today for your Christmas ticket.
Got to get the mute button off there. It is 14:20, last call, talking about the great Grey Cup game. They always are a lot of fun, talking about it after the fact and looking back on the years that we remember watching those games. It's funny how you remember those things, like how you become CFL fans, because what your dad watched back in the day and everything else, and it's what your parents watched, it was always on, and then you pretend that you weren't a CFL fan, and then the truth always comes out about what goes on once you start BSing about the games and everything else. So it's a lot of fun to watch, to talk about the old times, like you're sitting around the old bar and talking about at last call. Obviously, Dave and I had a couple of pops by that point, but anyways, always make sure, it's go home responsibly. Actually, we do these out of our separate basements, right? So it's one of those things. We're not leaving the friendly confines of our home bases and everything else. But let's get to birthdays and last on this days and get everybody out of here for another day, and you can go enjoy your day wherever you may be listening or watching us from around this great globe of ours. On this day in 1986, 20-year-old Mike Tyson became the youngest heavyweight champion in boxing history when he entered the fight versus Trevor Berbick by TKO in the second round at the Las Vegas Hilton in Las Vegas, Nevada. Tyson was 27-0 going into the fight, 25-5 of the wins by knockout. From the opening of the fight, Tyson dominated and was the aggressor right from the get-go. Towards the end of the round, Tyson hit Berbick with a four-punch combination, sent Berbick across the ring. Somehow he managed to stay on his feet, but it didn't get better for Berbick in round two as he was knocked down early from a Tyson combination. Berbick got up, but Tyson continued the onslaught until Berbick finally got stumped. Mills Lane referee stopped the fight after Berbick tried to get up from another Tyson barrage at 2:35 of the second round to win the WBC Heavyweight Championship of the world. And there it is. My God, Trevor Berbick trying to get up after Mike Tyson was such an absolute menace to society back in the day, and didn't turn. You feel for a guy like Berbick, and you wonder how boxing hasn't had more fatalities and everything else, because it's absolutely nuts and barbaric. But Tyson was I don't want to say a killer, because he probably could have been at that point in his career. Who knows? But he would go in and take care of business, and at such a young age. And Tyson was he was must see TV every time it was on no matter what, and how he just like that year, 1986, he rolled through everything in boxing. Like he fought 15 times just that year, and like two rounds, 1 round, and everything else. But Mike Tyson, he had himself a hell of a career. Too bad he couldn't keep out of trouble. And there's a lot of stuff in behind the scenes, obviously, with Don King and the money and the marrying Robin Gibbons and just the trouble. It almost was Gibbons, Robin Gibbons, and Lisa Gibbons, two different people. Anyways. There's your first Robin Gibbons and Lisa Gibbons reference of this 22nd day of November, no matter what you say. And let's get to birthdays. Happy 38th birthday to former New York Yankees reliever Adam Ottavino, born on this day in 1985 in New York, New York. Ottavino was drafted by the St. Louis Cardinals in the first round of the 2006 Major League Baseball draft, 30th overall out of Northeastern University. Ottavino made his Major League debut on May 29, 2010 versus Chicago Cubs at Wrigley Field in Chicago. Ottavino took the loss in the game, going 5 2/3, giving up 4 runs, all earned, striking out 5 and walking 6. Ottavino was claimed off of waivers at the start of the 2012 season by Colorado and was named the Rockies closer in 2015. Ottavino moved to the New York Yankees in 2019 on a 3-year deal and became the first player in Yankee history to wear number 0 or lack of a number. What's really want to get down to it. Ottavino has since moved out to play for the Boston Red Sox and currently the New York Mets. Ottavino has a career stat line of 39 wins, 41 losses, and a 3.42 ERA in 664 games played and 45 career saves. Happy birthday to Adam Ottavino. Yeah, I love saying that name, Adam Ottavino. We were there in New York City, me and my sister and brother. We went there together, and it was 2019, and Ottavino was pitching there. And there was an old Calgary Flames player named Pekka Radicchio. And so whenever I said Adam Ottavino, she would say Pekka Radicchio. So there's another little trip down memory lane for Calgary Flames fans. Remember Pekka Radicchio. He wasn't Canadian born, to say the least. I think he was Finnish. I think he was a Finnish cat anyways. There's last call and 14:20 in the morning, all wrapped up into one for you. If you're traveling this holiday season down in the United States, have travel safe. Download a bunch of our shows so you have something to listen to on your travel down the highways or in airports. And then the person next to you at an airport, tell them listen to the show as well. We appreciate all the support and the word of mouth that gets out there. To if you have a YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe to that, and tell the person next to you on the other side they should subscribe to the YouTube channel and watch a bunch of shows. It all works out for everybody. Anyways, that's 14:20 in the morning for this 22nd day of November. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. And remember, it doesn't matter where you are; it's who you're with. Have a great weekend, folks, and thanks. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. If you don't talk to you guys again till Monday. But have a great Thanksgiving Day, and whoever you're cheering for, or if you're going out tonight, watch your turkey dump. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow. There's that. There we go.
You just listened to the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. For Beer with the Sports, talking a whole lot more. We are part of the Belly Up Media Network. Let's get into it.